Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Saturday Black Friday event. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. I know that I myself felt a little overwhelmed yesterday just because it seems like the holidays are moving really fast. And now here in Missouri, we have our first snowfall of the year, which seems early for recent years, but also my family just moved here from Georgia last year, and my husband and my son are upstairs just kind of in wonder and taking care of some around the house things. So thank you for joining me. If you've not joined me before, my name is Andy Barney, and I've been a professional service technician and restorationist for over 15 years. And I made a commitment to many of my mentors years ago and to myself and my community that I would at someday pass on my skills to those who want them. And I can tell you the response to this has been phenomenal. I think I've always known in my career that there was a want and a need to be invited into space, but the industry has not done that for you. And in fact, outside of maybe one other program in the entire United States, there really is no entry point into learning service skills. I talk about this quite a bit. I'll talk a little bit more about it today because we're going to cover some of the programs that involve that. But I am very honored and privileged to be able to offer this information to everyone that wants it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because if I don't, I will just talk forever. It seems to be what I do with sewing machines. So again, this is our Saturday event. We are going all the way through Monday, and our deals will go through Tuesday evening. So today's events that we are adding to our daily deals, we are going to be talking about Remove Your Covers, which is our program for modern sewing machine maintenance and probably one of our most popular and in-demand programs. And along with that is our brand new program, which is Basic Hook Timing. This we just launched for testing back in the end of October, middle of October, and we are now launching it for the first time to the public. You do need to be enrolled in either Remove Your Covers or Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery before or at the same time as Basic Hook Timing. So if you're not in our programs yet, you will need to purchase them together. If you are already in Remove Your Covers or Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery, please reach out to me. Leave a comment somewhere with your email, go through the email address or contact page on the website, and I will be happy to get you the link to enroll in Basic Hook Timing. So when we're talking about, I'm going to start with Remove Your Covers. When we talk about the difference between modern and vintage machines, most people think of a timeline, like what year is the cutoff? And if you're looking for a year, it's somewhere in the mid 60s to mid 70s, but there's a lot of gray area. For our purposes, it's not so much about the year, but more of how you get into the machine and the way that the machine is designed. So I have a few guidelines here. Number one is if it's computerized or has electronics, it's going to be considered modern for our programs. Now, this is typically easy for most machines to figure out. Most of the time, you'll see a computer screen. Here on this Baby Lock, you can see that there is a little small LED screen there that's obvious. If you have a bigger embroidery machine, more advanced, you might see a big rectangular full color screen. But typically for these machines, it's pretty obvious. What does throw some people off are things like the Juki machines. These straight stitch, considered heavy duty machines. They are wonderful. They are mechanical machines. They're metal exterior and they are mechanical. So in my head, it sounds like it should be a vintage machine. But if you pay attention, you've got a needle up down button. You've got a thread cutter button and a speed control. Now, those things are not mechanical. The whole machine is mechanical except for those functions. In order for the machine to do those functions, they have a little computer board and some sensors in there. So it's not a full-blown computer system like you would see in the Baby Lock to the left, but it does have enough electronics and wiring and things in it that we consider it modern. So we would include these machines in our modern program. That would also include machines like the Brother 1500 PSL, the Viking Mega Quilters, the Janome HD9s, any of the mechanical machines that have those features in them would be considered modern. Number two is typically there's a plastic shell. Obviously, our Juki is a one-off kind of, but what I have here as an example is a Singer Heavy Duty, which is a very, very popular machine. And as you can see, in order to get into the machine, you have to actually remove some covers or all of the covers. And on these machines, they're difficult because many of the parts have to actually be physically pried apart, and that's very intimidating. Now, with most modern machines, you'll also notice there's not a whole lot of metal. There are a few hybrids that are a little different, where like the Janome 6600 is a good example. And in fact, even here on this heavy duty, people ask all the time about this metal that's on the machine. And quite honestly, that's kind of the most heavy duty part of the machine. That's just an aesthetic that they added. It has no bearing on the machine. So in Remove Your Covers, we're going to teach you to safely remove the appropriate covers. We're going to clean out the computer boards and things if you have them. That includes sensors and pulse motors. Check for old lubricant. Get all that out of there, dirt, debris, buildup. Check for any issues. We'll lubricate it when as needed and put it back together correctly. This is most of what a technician does when your machine goes in for service. If you want a full overview of what does happen when your machine goes in for service, there are numerous videos on YouTube that on my channel that will actually walk you through every step of what a technician goes through. And people ask all the time, isn't service just kind of a money grab? Because when I take my machine in, it doesn't sound any different when it comes back. Well, yes and no. It's not a money grab at all, but service is necessary. And what I noticed for myself has happened is that pre-COVID, the majority of my customers would schedule an annual service maintenance appointment with me like clockwork. So they would pick up their machine and then go ahead and schedule their appointment for the next year while they were there because they were faithful about it. When you're doing machine service like you're supposed to, you shouldn't hear too much of a difference. Or when you start hearing a difference, you know that your machine is starting to get kind of gunked up in there and it's time to go in and for service and have everything cleaned out. But post-COVID, COVID ushered in the newest generation of SOAS for us, and it happened a little prematurely. There's always a turning point. Something happens in history that reignites that fire in sewing and like parallel crafts and things. And COVID brought it a little sooner than historically has shown. But what that means is that the people coming in through COVID, it was under different circumstances. You didn't have a mother or a grandmother, an aunt standing over you, teaching you good sewing machine habits. If most of you have come to me through Facebook ads, and if you've seen my ad, there are machines pictures that are true customer pictures that are absolutely dirty, compacted machines. And people say all the time, well, I never let my machine get that bad, and I service my machine myself. And that's, when you're using a vacuum attachment or pipe cleaner or brush, you're only getting a small amount of lint out of there. That doesn't mean the whole machine's compacted, but what really burns up your computers in your machines, if you have them, and your sensors and your pulse motors, is not compacted lint. It's just a light dusting of lint that gets on your computer boards, heats it up, and burns things out. So a dealer typically will tell you well, I don't know if they will actually tell you that, but in some of my training, I've been told that to expect a 7-year shelf life of most machines. And by shelf life, they mean that's about how long you'll be able to run them without issue. And if you keep up on your maintenance, you get far more than 7 years out of that. So it is important. And the newest generation, especially, and by newest generation, I don't mean just 20-year-olds, I mean 50 and younger, do not realize that your machine does need service. We don't take our toaster in for service. We don't take our blender in for service. And our blender runs at a high rate of speed. But the sewing machine has to constantly run at a speed over a long period of time. If you're sewing for 2 hours, think about how many times you sit there and press that pedal and your machine is running. If you let that lint get in there and soak up your lubricant, you may not have an issue for a while, but it's going to lead to damage and other issues with your machine. So it's really not a money grab or a scam. It's just that they've kept you out of how to do it yourself without having to rely on them. So these are actual customer pictures, and I haven't pulled these out for a while, so it's kind of exciting. This is someone who is adjacent to me in the industry who always self-serviced her machines, and kind of bragged about that for a while, to be honest with you. And then eventually she called me and said, I have a problem. My machine will not do anything. It just beeps at me. So I walked her through some troubleshooting steps, and sure enough, she had to bring it into my shop. And this is with the covers off. So you can tell very clearly that's a computerized machine. You've got all these wires running through here, but a lot of people haven't even seen what a machine looks like with the covers off. So this is a Singer Quantum Stylus series, I believe. And what happened was she has been self-cleaning her machine. And you can tell if you look in the hook area here, everything that she can reach is pretty clean. This stuff that you see in the front, she would not be able to see or reach because it's behind the covers. And you can't get things down in there to get this. So you can see it's in all these little pockets. So when people say, I use vacuum attachments and get everything out of there, you're probably not getting everything out of there. What happened was I did all kinds of testing and realized that the culprit was this little piece right here. This little piece is actually a sensor, and it's connected to a little computer board back there that you cannot see. And what happened is enough lint built up in there, covered the little sensor board, and caused it to malfunction. Now it's dead. The problem with that is that this sensor is called a calibrating sensor. So when you turn on your machine, if you have a computerized machine, you might notice it makes this little noise, and the needle might move a little bit. That's the machine calibrating. What it does is the computer system sends a signal to all of the sensors in the machine, ask it, is everything working okay over here? And the sensor will send a message back saying, yes, everything's good. If it's not, if something comes back and says, nope, we got a problem over here, your machine's going to shut down to avoid further damage to the machine. Well, this just happens to be the calibrating sensor, so it can't even send out the signal, and that's why it was just beeping at her. Now, you can replace this, not you. You can take this to the dealer and have it replaced, but it's going to probably cost you about $300 between parts and labor. They are not going to sell you the part. They're really difficult to find, and to be honest with you, the machine is maybe worth $200 to $300 right now, especially used. So in this case, it's probably going to be more wise for the customer to upgrade or trade in or whatever her options may be on resolving the issue. This is another customer example. All of my pictures here are customer pictures. I've got thousands of them for over the years. People ask, why do you have so many pictures? Because I gently educated my customer. And to be honest with you, the Academy was born out of listening to my customers saying, I just wish I knew more so that I could do things myself. I can't really afford to keep having service. So that's why we educated our customer to help them with their sewing journey, and also inspired us to build these programs. Now, this is also another computerized machine. If I had to guess, it's probably a Brother. Now, it's really hard to tell because I can usually tell by the orientation of things sometimes what brand it is, but there is so much lint in here I actually can't tell. This is not a case of someone who did clean out occasionally. So you can see there's a lot of lint built up in the hook here. And that means that the person probably was not educated enough to know. And I've had this over the years. People are like, when people sew a lot, it's hard for you to think back to when you were new because you probably had someone teaching you how to sew. When you've got someone coming into the space, they don't realize stuff's building up under the bobbin case. They don't realize fluff is getting into other places. So they've not yet run across somebody that told them, hey, you need to clean that out to get things moving again. So this is kind of an extreme example of what happens when machines are neglected. Now, my biggest concern is this right here, and this really shows you why I get concerned even about a small amount of lint. This right here is your pulse motor, and that pulse motor, or it's also called a stepper motor, is connected to this board and is linked to this gear. This gear right here tells the feed dogs to go forward or backward or whatever the orientation is, and it's controlled by this motor. All this lint that you see in here is, sorry about that. All this lint that is floating through here is eventually going to get attracted to this board and migrate, and there's probably already a thin layer on there. It heats up and it's going to burn out. Now, I know we're a little further out from COVID at the time, but I can tell you through COVID, it was almost impossible to get a stepper motor from almost any brand. And that's when I was connected to a dealer. So even as a dealer associated technician, I was not even able to get these parts. So what I'm saying is that I understand if you pay $200 for a machine, it doesn't seem worth it to take it into a shop and pay $150 to have it serviced every year. But the point of our program is that you pay one time and you can service this machine 4 times a year if you need to. Based on this lint here, I would say that this person probably sews flannel or fleece or something that sheds quite a bit. And if you're running a business, like it's Christmas time, Etsy shops are going nuts right now with people making pajamas. If you're making pajamas and you're not having your machine serviced, more than once a year or as you need, this is what's going to happen. This is on a lower end Brother embroidery machine, if I remember correctly. And this person had been self-servicing her machine, and it is embroidery combo. So you can sew on it or do regular sewing. And she got to the point where her feed dogs were down most of the time because she did embroidery. But when she'd put them up to do regular sewing, she could get things to move in one direction but not the other. It's like they were rising above the needle plate, but they were just kind of going up and down. They weren't really moving the fabric any. So she tried everything she could and brought it in thinking that she completely broke her machine. And this is what you're looking at with the covers off. So this is your feed gear here that's connected to your main gear also. And this is a cam right here that tells the machine, you can see there's two different levels here. This tells the machine when the feed dogs are up or down. And then this is where the cam actually rides to move the machine or the feed dogs in a certain direction. You can't even get through the gunk and the lint in there. And this was really, really thick. This is stuff that you have to soak for maybe, a half a day and remove with picks and tweezers and get the stuff out. So this is what happens when people say, I use a vacuum, or the thing is your machine, you can see this grease in here. There's grease on these parts. These have to stay lubricated. And if you're sewing things that are very linty or putting out a lot of lint, when you hit that foot pedal and that motor comes on, it becomes a vacuum and it sucks everything in and it goes right to your computer boards and right to the grease. The grease is going to attract the lint into it. It's going to absorb all of that grease, and then your machine's going to seize up, and this is going to happen. Now, this is kind of a hard topic for me. This is one of the things I don't judge and I don't shame people. Nothing about my business has ever been about shame. What's hard is that in current times, people really want to push back on canned air. This is an example of someone who did self-service her machine. This is a Viking with canned air. There is this conception, if you're using canned air like you would use for your computer, that the lint is getting blown out of there and you can see it coming into the air. I can tell you, you're just pushing the lint into the machine. Now, I've worked on hundreds, probably thousands of Viking machines. They're all very similar in the newer generation. And this is looking from the back of the machine into the front. So you can see that the hook, the bobbin area where the hook is very, very, very clean. But if you look really closely in there, if you see all that, this is compacted lint. And I know from working on these machines the way it works. When you're blowing canned air in there or you're sewing and it's building up, it's not going straight to the section. It's filling up this entire arm first and circles back around and fills up. So when you start to see lint over here already, that means that you probably already have a good amount circulating inside the free arm. And under that free arm is where your feed cam and your hook gears are. So when she was using canned air, this is pushing that lint in there. Here's an up close look. When I took this lint out, I wish I would have taken a picture. When I took this lint out, it was so compacted and had enough oil in it that it kind of became like a fabric. It was very, very interesting on this one. And you can see it's a multiple colored fiber, so I'm not really sure what she was sewing with. And my biggest concern, of course, when you flip it over to the back with the cover off, this is your hook gear here. And all of this lint I picked out of these two places. You can't see it, but there's a little hole right here. So this is your hook gear, and this is going to be your feed cam. What concerns me the most is if you're looking at this lint, there's two different colors of lint. You have the light, fluffy gray stuff, and then this more coarse looking, darker black stuff. The lint that is nice and fluffy hadn't yet gotten to the lubrication. The black stuff is what absorbed the lubrication and was continually being pressed over and over again into those gears. So you can see those gear teeth. It's like any other machine. When you have two gears running together, any lint that's in there is going to keep getting compressed and compressed and compressed. And it almost becomes like a plastic when it absorbs that grease. So over time, if the lint keeps building up, it's eventually going to eat away at the teeth of those gears, chip them or break them, or eventually cause them to have issues. And when that happens, you're looking at probably $1,000 repair on a Viking, if I had to guess. It's been a while, but you're looking at least $1,000 to replace those gears. So what does that mean for the dealer? That means an upgrade or a trade-in, most likely, because you're not going to invest $1,000 into these gears. Now, this is another example of what happens when you get into machines and try to catch issues before they become a big problem. This is a customer who had I think this is probably a Viking, if I had to guess, just looking at the alignment of everything in here and looking at the arm. I'm most certain that this is an older Viking, not like a designer series, but maybe a Lily or something a little older. But she had no idea that this thread was here. All she knew was that she couldn't turn the hand wheel. When she tried to sew, it would sometimes move a little bit, but then she'd get this horrible beeping sound and it was telling her, an error message of some sort. So when she brought it in, I took the covers off and pulled the hand wheel off, and this popped out. And I'm grateful that she did not force this hand wheel. So people ask, how does this happen? And happens way more frequently than people realize. When you have an embroidery machine, people will often put another spool or a thread or bobbin on that extra spool pin at the top of the machine. Well, again, when you hit the foot pedal, it becomes a little vacuum. Between that and static electricity, all it takes is for that little thread, the tail end of that thread, to get kind of caught into the hand wheel. And when you're embroidering, she probably got started, walked away and got some coffee. And the whole time she's embroidering, that spool of thread is unwinding into the hand wheel. Now, if she would have forced this hand wheel, this entire mechanism, this is your timing belt. This whole mechanism is plastic. If she would have forced that hand wheel, it would have completely snapped and this machine would have been done. I don't know if you can tell from the picture, but it's already kind of torqued a little bit because this thread is forcing the wheel there to kind of turn out. And that would have been a disaster. This machine would have been done and there would have been no options. I wish I would have put another picture in here. I just had someone in the program with a Juki, I think, maybe. I'm having a hard time remembering, but she actually found the same issue with thread wrapped around the motor. And I don't know how she was able to even use the machine because the belt was actually sitting on top of a thick layer of thread. So we have people in our programs that are catching these issues before they become major problems. Now, when I started building this program, I've done surveys. I love data. I love information. I want to know what people's barriers are to having machine serviced or, maintaining things, because the problem is that my audience is mostly 65 plus, with a large number of women that are 75 to 85 in my program, because they are kind of tired of being left out. They're tired of not being self-sufficient. They're tired of being told that they can't do this. And the problem is that for those women, I hear all the time, this machine has to last me the rest of my life. I'm not buying another machine because I'm at this age and I'm only going to be able to sew for so long. If that's the case, you either need to be paying someone to have the machine service to make it last, or you need to be doing it yourself. My biggest concern right now is that all of us tend to feel, in an economy like we're living in, when things are very expensive, it's hard to justify our hobby anyway, when we're buying fabric and supplies and things. But even that comes down to machine service. When you're already trying to enjoy your hobby and you're like, not only do I have to go leave my machine with someone for 6 weeks or 3 months or whatever, then it's going to cost me $150. I don't even know what they did to it. I don't even know if it matters. I don't know if it's worth it. So to me, it's very important that we offer these opportunities to you so that you can keep your machine going in any economy, and you can also be a resource to your community and your friends. So why is machine maintenance possible to do yourself? When I started talking about this academy, I've been in the industry a long time, and I've typically been an enemy of the industry because I'm taking away a little bit of their power. People used to tell me in this industry all the time, this is the stupidest idea, because you are not going to be able to take your average person that sews and turn them into a technician. First of all, I'm not trying to turn you into a technician, but I've also proven that none of us are near as stupid as they want us to think that we are, because you're fully capable of doing these things when you have a guide. What gets dangerous is YouTube videos and sometimes Facebook groups. So my point here is that I'm a guide. You're kind of the hero in this scenario. So 90% of machines that come into my shop and have gone across my desk, they've only needed troubleshooting, cleaning, and lubricating. If you can master those 3 things, and I don't mean, again, just, going around the bobbin and doing a vacuum and all that's good stuff. If you continually do these parts to your machine, I guarantee you that you extend the life out much longer than any dealer wants you to. The whole key of this is to keep moving parts and computer boards free and clean of debris and keeping the lubricant fresh. So I will say this over and over again. If you have a computerized machine, I am more concerned about your computer boards, your sensors, and your pulse motors than I am the lubricant, but the lubricant is also key. On a side note, we do teach people I can't even talk. Check the timing in this program, but we don't include any timing in here. We just released our basic hook timing, so I'll cover that in a moment. But this is one of the things we have built into the program so that you don't have to automatically enroll in the basic hook timing unless you really want to, or not have to run off and take your machine to the shop and have it timed when it really wasn't the timing at all. A few reminders about this program. It is a maintenance program. It's not a repair program. There are some key things that we can help you with, such as like if your spool pin broke off and you have to get a new one in there, if the check spring is worn out, maybe replacing a motor belt when if needed, but we are not here to do electronics. I've said that previously, but if you have a broken screen or a screen that doesn't work, if the machine doesn't turn on, if it's not functioning properly, the buttons don't work, anything that has to do with computer boards, sensors, things like that, we cannot help you with. If you have a machine though that is seized up and you can't turn the hand wheel, that is something we can likely help you with. I already mentioned that does not include timing or advanced adjustments. We do have add-on programs coming for that. We will not include surgers or overlock machines in this program. As soon as I'm done building our advanced timing program, my next priority will be surgers. I know there's a huge demand for it, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I just brought back probably about 25 surgers from our storage unit in Georgia back to Missouri so that I could start filming this video series ASAP. It does not include industrial commercial machines in this program. Paul and I are home domestic experts, not industrial, and modern industrial machines use completely different lubricants and things that I'm not great with. I can't help you find parts. I'm not really familiar with that. When we cover our vintage program tomorrow, we have helped a number of people with vintage industrial machines, and we do have people in that space building a business as well. That does include embroidery machines, the upright embroidery machines, single needle, multi-needle, they're commercial. I've been through factory training on those when I was associated with Brother and Viking. And unfortunately, that is not something I can do. For one, it's very proprietary. You'll hear me say that a lot. There is a line that I cannot cross with the manufacturers without getting sued. And this is probably one of them. They are super complex machines. That's more than just taking a few covers off, cleaning things out, and lubricating. You actually do almost all of the service inside the computer service menu. That requires dealer codes and a whole other level of training that I can't provide. So if I tried to even do that, for one, I feel like I'd set you up for failure, and two, I would definitely be sued by the company. So the biggest question I probably get about remover covers is, do I provide service manuals? And typically that means service manuals like you get from a dealer, like a dealer has. You see them floating around on Facebook groups probably, and there's some sites that sell them. I can tell you they're cracking down very heavy on that. They've already shut down most of the websites that sell those, as they have entire teams of attorneys looking for this. And I'm hearing in the industry that they're going after Facebook groups next. Those manuals that you see for your machine are proprietary, which means they are owned by these companies, and they are meant only for service dealers. Now, I have zero moral judgment on you obtaining them and using them, but if they were to find out that I was distributing them, either giving them away or selling them or putting them on my website or using them to promote my program in any kind of way, they will sue me. I am on every radar in this industry, and that's not something I can mess with. So that's my number one reason for not using service manuals. Number two is probably a bigger reason, and that is they are not the Bible that you might think they are for your machine. So many people think if you have the service manual, you can do anything you want with your machine. You can make miracles happen, bring it back to life. And while that can sometimes be true, largely it's not. I've been through factory training with Brother, Janome, Singer, Viking, and Pfaff, and none of my training has been useful. It's all warranty work. My point is that those service manuals, they're just reminder points for technicians that have been through that warranty training. So they're not even complete instructions. They are little tidbits to remind the technician, this is kind of what you learned in factory training. So, you know, put your thoughts together, find your notes, and make it all happen. So it's leaving out the information you would not have. I would say that most people in our program that obtain one and look through it, they're like, yeah, it's kind of like going in circles. It's not making any sense. So what I do instead, this is a snapshot inside of the program. When we built this program, I knew that it would be impossible for me to have my hands literally on every single machine brand and model out there. There's millions of them. I will never in my lifetime touch the majority of machines that are out there. That's just how it is. So we had to think of a way of how to help you be more efficient and build this program to be workable when there's so many machine models out there. So you'll find a variety of videos and instruction sheets in there for brands of machines. If you're coming into this program with a machine that we've not worked with before, that someone hasn't requested before, I'm going to ask you to send me some pictures. And you can see there's a list here. So I'm going to ask you to send me a picture of the front of the machine, the back of the machine, the bottom of the machine, the top of the machine, and both sides of the machine. So about 6 pictures in total. And these are good examples. They don't have to be perfect, but there are key things that I need to see. And what I do is I turn them into a very specific instruction sheet for your brand and model of machine. So this is an example here. This is a Janome MemoryCraft 9700 that someone had sent me way back when. And with the pictures, you can see all the pictures are in here. And I have all kinds of resources. I have people that are willing to do some illustrations for me. I do find some pictures on that are similar but not the same. But what I do is there's screws that you need to remove. And there are screws that if you remove them, you will ruin your machine. So first of all, it's very clear on what screws to remove and what not to remove. It also tells you what order to take the covers off. But most importantly, it's going to tell you when there's things to be wary of. It's so easy for anyone, a seasoned technician or someone brand new, to really do damage to a machine when you're not using a guide. This is why YouTube is so dangerous. There are motors, there are wires, there are boards, there's sensors, there's all kinds of things that can get ripped out or damaged or broken. And when that happens, then we do have a problem on our hands. So everything about this will tell you and warn you when you need to unplug a wire in there, how to do it, how to not touch the computer boards, full beginning to end instructions on how to remove the covers. Now, this is important because you spend more time in this program learning how to remove covers and get into your machine appropriately than pretty much anything else. From there, it's almost like it's like you're going to spend time being slow and careful with this part, and then the rest of it zooms by because it's so easy compared to this. When you have a guide and specific instructions, that helps with the mental space. And then knowing that we're here when you're working on taking off the covers and you're getting concerned because it seems difficult and you don't want to break anything, you can send me pictures through email and I can verify for you. Yes, you need to keep going. I know it's scary, but you're at that step. So this is why we do things virtually, because you have a hand on your shoulder when you need it to tell you, now, wait a minute, there's a caution flag there. If you do that, we've got a problem. Or for me to say, yes, you are correct, keep going. So that's why we handle things the way we do. It is my goal within 5 years to have the absolute largest library of this information. We have people that have been building their business on their own for 2 or 3 years and have always said, my struggle is I have to learn every single brand and model of machine over and over again because they're all different. So no resource like this has ever been built that will walk you through the most difficult part of machine service. Now, I don't do this very often because I don't get many requests for it, but this is Barbara, who, unlike most of us, only owns one sewing machine. And Barbara literally likes to sew and not do anything else. So Barbara said, I just want to be able to take out a PDF every year, do my machine service, put it away, and get back to sewing. So while Barbara was in her machine, you can see here, she sent me very clear pictures of all the different parts of her machine with the covers off. And I added to her instruction sheet all the places that she needs to clean and lubricate. That way she's not having to log in or do anything else, but she has that PDF printed out that stays with her machine. There's a few models I'm probably not able to do this with because it's too hard to get clear pictures, but I am happy to offer this to those of you that would like to have it. These are a few posts. These are a little older. I need to update this probably, but these are a few posts and feedback that we've received from students in our program to show how well it's worked. This is, and I'll tell you, this has worked out better than we thought. It took me a long time to build this program and think it out because I was really stuck on how do you help people from far away when you can't help touch their machine, but to give them the right direction. So this does take a little bit of extra part on my side, but it has been very effective in helping people. In fact, we've realized that so many people come into our program and handle everything on their own, and we never hear from them. But then I'll get an email like a year later of saying, hey, I started my business 6 months ago and it's going great. And I'm like, who is this person? We don't even know who they are. So people come through here all the time and find what they need without even having to reach out to us. So this is Diana, and she was working on, this is probably a little earlier in the program before we had as many instruction sheets as we do. And I think it was a Singer Confidence, which is a little like a low-end computerized Singer that's pretty common at Joann's. And she was working on getting the covers off by herself and had decided, she got to this point and she reached out. So I asked her to send me a picture of the bottom of the machine. And you can see here, I circled exactly what screws she needed to remove and the arrow telling her, about to take this cover off. And And then you can see down here, she came back and said, I successfully removed, cleaned, and lubed and reassembled my machine. It's amazing that it was not nearly as filled as Linda expected, but she did say, I feel like I really accomplished something. The videos are great, and I followed step by step, pausing each step of the way, and I can't think of a better way to learn. This over here is Joellen Munich, who also worked on getting into her machine. I don't think that she reached out to me at all. She just figured it out on her own. As you can see, here's that pulse motor that we talked about, and look at all this lint that she found in there. So she said she had it since 2013 and never had it serviced, which this is not surprising to me. And she said that she thought there was a quarter cup of lint in there. And if you look down here, I think she's probably right. So not every single machine is going to look like this when you open it up. Sometimes they will be compacted with lint. Sometimes you'll see traces of it. And sometimes it may not look like much. But even small fibers start to build up over time. This is Lynn Hirschberger, who is very, very active in our vintage community. Lynn actually has a passion for vintage machines and works on them in her home. Like most of us, she has way too many and can't figure out where to put them. She did inherit her, I think that was her, I don't think it says in her post, but I believe she inherited this. No, it said her elementary school friend traded her for one of her machines that her vintage she was working on. So she had a hard time. She learned getting the covers off of a Frisia sometimes is a challenge, but she was absolutely shocked to find on the inside how much was compacted. There were more pictures in this. I just couldn't fit them in, but she pulled lint, and it's really, really dark lint. She pulled lint out of every part of this entire machine. And she was really proud of that, because Lynn is like a lot of people in our vintage programs where they have an aversion to modern machines. They can be intimidating and scary when you've worked in the vintage realm enough. So Lynn was really, really nervous to get into this machine and figure it out. And my last example here, this is Rachel, who joined our program last year, and she has a number of FOF machines like this expression here. She said, I bought these classes because I have too many machines and the cost of service is just too expensive, basically. And nobody likes giving up their machine, but she said, I successfully maintained this machine and getting ready to do the next one. It's so much easier than I expected, and I suspect I will get faster once I figure things out. I will tell you that what Rachel said here is very important. Rachel never once reached out to me, and the first I ever heard of Rachel was when she posted this in our group to let us know that she was well on her way. The thing about that is that the first time you do this, it's going to be a mental exercise. You're going to have to believe in yourself. You're going to have to be slow and deliberate and just trust the process. But once you've done it once, something changes. And then when you do another one, something changes. I think that most people in our program go from super scared and hesitant to fairly confident pretty quickly. And that's why a number of people are able to start offering help to their communities, either through volunteer work, working with their senior centers, the library loan out program to get some experience. And many people go on to consider retirement income or side business because it becomes so enjoyable once you get a little bit of confidence under your belt. Now, as far as the models we include in our program, we include all of the things that you see here: Singer, Juki, Brother, FOF, Baby Lock, Janome. I also need to add Modern Elna and Modern Neki to this list. So all of these models are home domestic and are included in our program. There's no exceptions. Just be mindful of Juki. If it's a semi-industrial or industrial, it's not included. But every single model in these families is included, plus Elna and Neki. Where we have some limitations, number one is Viking. Almost all Viking machines are included except for the Epic series. That's the Epic 1, Epic 2, Epic 3, the 95Q, and now there's a new 97Q that just came out. I cannot include these in our program. I am factory trained on the Epic series, and to be honest with you, in my experience, I hope I never have to get into another one as long as I live. The problem isn't that they're so complex. It kind of is, I guess. But the problem is that once you get the covers off of the machine, then you still have another layer of things to remove. And these things are scary, dangerous risks to remove. They are computer components or boards. I think there's even a sensor related to the projector in there. And when you have a risk of damage getting into a machine anyway, this one is 10 times that. You can introduce static electricity into the machine. You could blow up the motherboard. You could bump the projector. All those things will be very costly in service and repair. So that's not a risk that I'm willing to take with you. So I do have to exclude the Viking series. All of the other Viking brand models are included. So everything from the older designer ones, the economical E10s, the Mega Quilter, and of course, all of the designer series, the Diamond, Sapphires, Tributes, all of the Vikings are included except for the Epic one. Now, our bigger problem is Bernina. Bernina is probably the most, well, I don't mean probably, it is the most proprietary of all the brands. So we can include some machines in this program for basic cleaning and lubrication. If you have an older model with electronics, we do help you with that. It's basically keeping the computer boards and sensors clean. That's really important in those machines, but also lubricating. We can also include the Artista, Activa, Virtuosa, and Aurora models in our program. Same thing. We're basically opening them up enough to keep the computer boards clean. They are very important at these age of machine that you do keep the computer boards clean. So you need to open it up, get the lint out, and that's about all we can do with these machines. The reason is that Bernina requires Bernina specific tools to do anything in the machine. So even when these machines would come into my shop, I could do basic maintenance on them as far as cleaning and lubrication, but I was not able to do any kind of adjustment or repair. I had to send them to the Bernina dealer. Our bigger issue is the newer models of Bernina, which are the 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8 series. These machines are the newest generation, anything with a capital B in the name. So you have B880, B770, B485, B335, and on and on. The problem with these machines is that not only do you need tools to do adjustments and get in and do things in the machine, you now need tools to get the covers off properly. I'm not associated with Bernina in any way, shape, or form, and neither are you. So we will not have access to the tools. When these machines came into my shop when we were still open, we had to automatically send them to the Bernina dealer. I couldn't even do general maintenance or service on these machines. Now, as far as Bernette machines go that are made by Bernina, anything with a lowercase b, we have not had an issue with those in our program. Some of them we may have to go back and forth to figure it out as we uncover the layers, but no issues with Bernette, and also no issues with Eversone. We have, I think, 1 or 2 models of Eversone already in our program. Those are the shelf brand of Bernina. So if you have an Eversone, we can help you with that as well. So to tell you about the enrollment details for this program, you do have lifetime access to all the modules in this program, all of our expansions and improvements. And remember, this program will never stop growing. And that's because every time someone comes in with a new machine we've not worked with before, then it's going to be another module in this program. And our goal is to have as many modules and information as possible. We're going to give you individualized help with your specific machine. And to note, because you will not know today, if you've not worked in machines before, you will not know until you get into them what your level of interest is. This program is an easy transition into maintaining machines for others, either through volunteer work or side business. That's as simple as, while we're going through a tough economy, maybe you have a neighbor down the street that can't get out very often, and you know that she sews. So maybe as a goodwill gesture for the holidays, then you might go and ask her if you can, service her machine for her or do maintenance on it. And it's not going to cost you anything extra to get help from us to do that. Other people go on to do volunteer work at senior centers, library loan-out programs, refugee centers. I know people that are in low-income areas that do it just to help people. And then we have so many people now that are looking at retirement income. If you just do a couple machines a week, you can supplement your income by $400 with very little, business trickling in. So there's all kinds of opportunities, and it does not require you to do anything more. Now, this program is normally $249. During open house, we reduce it to $199 as a benefit, but for Black Friday, we reduce it to $169. That is a one-time payment in lifetime access. So this program is not going anywhere. You don't have to start today. If you can't get to it till January or February, it's no big deal. And that will give you 2 entries into our giveaway drawing for Black Friday. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. Paul is not here with me at the moment, so I can't see my screen, but I will be happy to answer any questions that anyone has as soon as I'm done with the broadcast. So we have our brand new hook timing program, which I'm very happy about. It's been a long time for us to get to this point where we can offer this program. Now, we decided to offer timing in 2 different programs because basic hook timing is the most common timing adjustment by far. Only about 3 to 5% of machines ever need any type of timing adjustment for the most part, but when they do, it's almost always hook timing. So in our effort to keep things as affordable and accessible as possible, One, we wanted to make this available for people at home that do need to make this adjustment without having to buy into a big giant program. And two, for people that are working on building their business already, they now have access to the most important timing adjustment of all while we're finishing and building the other program. So again, less than 5 to 8% of machines ever need timing adjustments. I did actually calculate for almost an entire year what service was done on machines, and that's what my average has always come out to. It's the most common timing adjustment by far. We are releasing this in 2 parts, as I just said. Our advanced timing and adjustment program will be releasing in January, I believe. We are getting ready to teach at a big event in Las Vegas, and it needs to be ready by then. So we are aiming for January. You'll be able to use this purchase as a credit toward an upgrade into the advanced timing program if you wish to at that time. So whatever you pay today is what will be a credit for you in the future. You must be in Remove Your Covers or Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery in order to enroll in this program. So if you're watching and you're already enrolled in one or both of those programs and want access to this program, please send me an email through the website or through the student portal, and I will be happy to send you the link. I can't put the link up publicly because many people will enroll that are not in Remove Your Covers or Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery, and that's a requirement. So during Black Friday on our webpage, we are offering to purchase the both of them together if you need to. But if you need just basic hook timing, please reach out to me and I'll get you the link. So we have the core learning program, which is where all of the procedures and all of the big important stuff is housed. It is our on-demand library that you'll have access to. Then we have a bonus program, which is our modern machine case studies that goes with Remove Your Covers, and the vintage machine case studies. So what's going to happen is when you enroll, everyone is going to have access to the core learning. When you're enrolled in Remove Your Covers, you will have access to the bonus program that has modern machine case studies in it. And if you're enrolled in VSMM, then you're going to have access to the vintage machine case studies. Now, this doesn't mean you have to pay for anything extra to get these. The difference is that if you're only Remove Your Covers, and you're only going to have access to this program. If you later on enroll in the VSMM program, this is going to open up to you as well. So it's just an access issue. We had to really do that because if you're not used to working in modern machines to Remove Your Covers, then there's a lot of damage that can happen if you're trying to replicate what's happening in the bonus program. So we have lifetime access to everything, of course, to all of our modules, all of our expansions, improvements, which, we just launched it, so there'll probably be more of those. And you always have individual help at no extra cost. Those bonus modules for modern vintage machines are there. And again, we're going to give you $199 credit toward an upgrade if you choose to in the advanced timing and adjustments program in January. So this is $249 normally during open house, and because this is brand new, I cannot reduce it anymore. It is $199. We will probably have to raise the enrollment fee on this a hair in January, depending on how much technology and video space we take up. But we've never had to increase our enrollment fees before, but 2025 is looking like we will probably have to increase some things to match the cost that we're paying. So it is $199 as a one-time payment and lifetime access. What I have offered, because it does require, I'm sorry, this goes through Tuesday. What we are offering is, let me go through this first. This is our advanced timing and adjustments program that's coming in January. So again, will allow you to upgrade. It's going to include needle hook clearance, feed timing, needle bar height, needle centering, parabola, and zigzag position. What this program is going to give you is everything. Basically, if you have Remove Your Covers, Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery, all of our core programs, plus the advanced timing and adjustments, you basically have in your hands all of the skills that make up an independent technician like myself. The difference between me and you is that I have 15 years of experience and you're at the beginning of your journey. But these are all the things, these are all the skills that I've used for 15 years. I'm not doing major parts replacements or computer replacements or anything that's usually left to an authorized service person. So we do have a couple deals here because we do require Remove Your Covers or Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery for the basic hook timing. We have our regular standalone Remove Your Covers program for $169. That's reduced from $249. That will give you 2 entries in our drawing. Then we also have Remove Your Covers and basic hook timing together for $368. That is a one-time payment and lifetime access. That saves you almost $300. And then because I know the economy is tough, we just added a new payment plan. This has been, I will say, the payment plans have been very, very successful. There's only so much I can do, but if I can help you spread the cost a little bit, especially during the holidays, I'm happy to. So it's still our discounted pricing. There's a $12 difference, right? Yeah, $12 difference. And that just goes towards the fee that I'm charged by the processor for setting up a split payment plan. The way that our 2 payment plans work is you would pay $190 a day that you enroll, and then exactly 30 days from that date, then the other $190 is going to come off your card. Your card's going to be on file with either Stripe or PayPal. I have zero access to your information. I do believe that they send out a reminder to you a few days before the second debit comes out. So that does spread the cost out a little bit, makes it a little more manageable. You still have all the same benefits. Everything is available to you on day one. We don't hold anything back, and it's exactly the same. We're just spreading the cost. Both of those will give you 3 entries into our drawing as well. So just as a recap from yesterday, these are our daily deals that we have. If you're interested in most of our programs, this is our full maintenance program, which includes everything but basic hook timing. So this is a foundation. I feel like this is a starting point for almost anybody wanting to go down this path. Even if you are remote, if you're a little bit interested in business and you think that you only want to work on vintage or only want to work on modern, I can promise you that it's going to be a 50-50. When you try to focus on only one, you're still going to get tons of people inquiring about the other machine. We do have people that are happy about saying no, and then we have other people that are like, I just want to do the best for my customer. So this package is normally $579 when without our discounts. For Black Friday, we are offering it for $429, and in our regular deal, we don't usually offer the featherweight service program as well. So you're getting a lot more for less in that program. There's also a payment plan for that you'll find on the daily deal page. So you can see all of the things that you get in that program. This is the 2 payment plan. So it's an extra $13, $11. Can't do math today. Also, to spread the cost, you're going to pay $220 on the day that you enroll, and then $220 exactly 30 days later. Again, that helps you spread the cost. It doesn't cost you anything extra, or it's not going to take away your benefits. I will say that you do get 12 months of extra membership with the Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery set of 3. If you're unsure what that means, follow me tomorrow on Sunday. I'll be live talking about Vintage Sewing Machine Mastery. So the 2 payment plan, again, $11 goes to the processor fees. You're going to pay $220 today, and then $220 exactly 30 days. All benefits still apply. If you enroll in the full maintenance program, you will get 6 entries into our drawing. I just want to briefly cover this. This is our service program that does include everything plus hook timing. This is normally $720 without our discounts. For Black Friday, it's $599 as a one-time payment and lifetime access. So you get everything that you saw in the maintenance program plus hook timing. And we have a 3 payment plan for this one. So this is the first time we've ever done a 3 payment plan. As you can see, it's going to cost you $16 extra. What you're going to do is pay $205 on the day that you enroll, $205 exactly 30 days later, and then $205 on exactly 60 days later. Again, all your benefits still apply. But it makes me happy to be able to spread these costs a little bit, because I know Black Friday always falls at the scariest and busiest time of the year. This program will give you 7 entries into our big drawings. So let's talk about that a little bit. Our giveaways are really big this year. I don't know if you can see it behind me, but I do have a bag right here all ready to go. We make a tool bag full of our favorite tools and products that we recommend. These are all the same things that we use in our workshop, so it's nothing different. We will have one of those to give away. We also have a Chapman tool set, which I absolutely love. For you vintage fanatics, if you don't have one, I highly recommend. The biggest concern when you're working with vintage machines is stripping screws, because those screws are probably not being manufactured anymore, and they are hard to find. You cannot just walk into any Ace Hardware and find that screw. So these bits are designed to break before it distorts or strips that screw. I have right here, gift cards ready to go. So we have $50, $25, and $10 gift cards to give away to Harbor Freight. I'm convinced that Harbor Freight needs to sponsor me because we send everybody to Harbor Freight for great things. And we have a bonus prize for all of you enrolling into the full maintenance program or the service program with the hook timing. You will be entered into a second drawing, which is a giveaway for our new upcoming timing and advanced adjustments program. It will not be available until January, but as soon as we have it ready to go, you will have a free upgrade or free access into that program. And I'm very thrilled to be able to give that program away. So I will put the link in the chat as soon as I'm finished here, but you can find all of our daily deals at sewingdockacademy.com/BF-deals. You will find the everyday deals on there that I talked about yesterday. You'll find a replay from yesterday in there, and then you're also going to find the replay from this as soon as I can get it uploaded. Let me stop sharing here. So if there's anything at all that I can help you with, if you have any questions, I know that's a lot to take in. Please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. And if you would like a longer version of this, we had an open house that we hosted yesterday. I'm happy to send you a link. It is about an hour and a half long because we had a lot of questions and we just had a good old time. So thank you for joining me today. I will be back here again tomorrow, Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be back here Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And all of our deals are going to go through Tuesday night at 8 p.m. After that, or Wednesday morning, depending on how tired I am, I will be doing the drawing and contacting the winners of our drawing immediately. So thank you again for joining me. I hope you're having a great Thanksgiving weekend. I'm going to go check out the snow now. So have a wonderful afternoon.